what God is calling us to, y'all. You cannot be afraid. You can't be afraid to go home and tell him, look, get your Timberlands, get your red Adidas sweatsuit, and leave. You can't be afraid. Yeah, but if I tell him to leave, how am I going to pay my bills? Huh? How you going to pay your bills? You think he been paying the bills? Afterwards, Jesus returned to Jerusalem. I can stop right there just off of those 4 words. Afterwards, Jesus returned. Jesus returned. Jesus returned, which meant that he was there one time before, that he can go back, which means that Jesus had already left. But guess what? He coming back. He gonna return. Afterwards, Jesus returned to the Mount Suffolk for one of the Jewish holidays. What if he's returning before Thanksgiving? One of the holidays. And look at what he did. Inside the city of Suffolk, near Saratoga, near Jericho, was the pool of Bethesda with 5 covered porches. What he was saying was he returned and he went to the city. And when he got there, there was a crowd of sick people. Some of them were blind. Some of them were lame. Some of them were paralyzed. And they all lie on the porch. What if this is one of the porches wherein Jesus came back and saw some lame people and some sick people and some paralyzed people? One of the men lying there had been sick for 38 years. I wonder how long somebody in here had been dealing with an issue. And what brought Jesus back was the fact that I know how long you've been dealing with that. And it is your condition and your issues that caught my attention to cause me to be here today. The psalmist declared that the healer is here. When Jesus saw him and knew he had been ill for a long time, he asked him a question. I love the fact that he's polite. That even though I see you sick and I see you in your condition, I want to fix it, but I don't really know if this is what you want. Do you want to be well? What if, based off of this word, he's coming to you asking you, do you want to be well? Do you want to be fixed? Yeah, I heard your prayer. I heard your prayer and your petition. But let me ask you a question. Do you really want to be fixed? Listen to what the man says. I can't, sir. He didn't even answer the question. He says, I can't, sir. The sick man said, for I have no one to put me into the pool when the water bubbles up. He said, so really what you're saying to me is, you blaming other people for you not being healed? You blaming other people for them not treating you the way that you need to be treated? Someone else always get there ahead of me. Jesus told him, stand up, pick up your mat, and walk. Let's check this out. Instantly, the man, after he responded to what God told him to do, instantly, when you respond to what God told you to do, he says instantly, the man was healed. He rolled up his sleeping mat and began walking. But this miracle happened on the Sabbath. So the Jewish leaders objected. They said to the man, who cured you? You can't work on the Sabbath. The law doesn't allow you to carry that sleeping mat. But he replied, I heard what you're saying. But the man that healed me told me, pick up my mat and walk. Who said such a thing? They demanded. The man didn't know, for Jesus had disappeared into the crowd. But afterwards, Jesus found him in the temple and told him, now you are well, so stop sinning, or something else even worse will happen to you. In other words, what he's saying, Lee, I'm going to heal you. I'm going to fix it. And once you find yourself in the temple like we are, listen to what he's saying. He says, now you are well. I fix your financial situation. I fix your marriage. I fix your children. Now stop sinning, or something even worse may happen to you. Y'all, it's my assignment to speak to you for the next few minutes. God told me to tell you, you got what it takes. He says, you got what it takes, Marvin. Whatever deficiency that it is in your life, whatever lack that is in your life, whatever is any inadequacy that is in your life, anything that you don't have or that you're not capable of, that you can't do, he says, I came to tell you, you got what it takes. Father, we thank you for this day. Thank you for this time. I surrender preaching to you now. Be the voice that speaks to us. And God, we will be the ear that hears what thus says the Lord to the church. Transform this auditorium into a classroom, that we may be not only hearers of the word, but doers also. As we go to our seat, just whisper to somebody, you got what it takes. 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 You got what it takes to win. You got what it takes to finish. You got what it takes to endure. You got what it takes to accomplish. You got what it takes to survive. You got what it takes to complete. You got what it takes to make it through it. God says, whatever it is that you are up against, that you feel like you cannot make it through, he said, the devil is a liar. You got what it takes. And he uses this scripture to show us, because God is no respecter of person. He's taken an ancient text, something that he did years ago, over 2,000 years ago, and he's bringing it up into this setting today to show you there was a man that lived long before you who had been sick for 38 years, who felt like his life was over because he was summoned and sentenced to a condition that he could not get over. But it was something about Jesus in his daily travels through the region that one day he walked through the pool of Bethesda and he saw a whole bunch of sick people. On that particular day, he didn't do anything. He just took inventory. He just was taking observation. He returns back one day afterwards. He goes to Jerusalem and he sees all of these sick people laying out by the pool. Now, one thing about the pool was a place wherein a lot of the sick people would go to get away from the scorching heat. And there were 5 porches. But it was also a pool there that oftentimes when the water was troubled, people would be able to be healed. What was unique about the pool was that the pool, when it would rain, the rain would fall on the rocks, and somewhere during the rocks, there was a filtration system it would pick up zinc, and it would pick up metabolism, and it would pick up all these different, I ain't saying the word right, but I'm not I ain't scared though. And it will pick up zinc, and it will pick up potassium. That's what it was. And it will pick up sulfur, and it will pick up calcium, and it will pick up nitrogen. All of these things would kind of like as the water was running down to the pool and drips, it would fill the pool up, but it had all these minerals on the inside of it. And every now and then the pool would get agitated. God would agitate the waters, and people would jump into the pool. And when they jump into the pool, they would get healed. So here it is, a man who had been there for 38 years. Now I'm thinking in my mind, if I have been there for 38 years and I have watched and I have witnessed people getting healed and getting delivered by that water, I don't care what my condition was or how far away I'm from the water. I got 38 years to crawl and claw myself and roll myself close to the edge, that in the event that water gets agitated again, I don't have to ask anybody to push me in where I'm going with it. Some of us have been in conditions for a long time. It is your responsibility to crawl and claw and twist yourself close to the edge of God's presence, that in the event that he gets ready to agitate something, you don't have to ask anybody to do anything. You can roll in there yourself. I just said something right there. But then too, I understand that because most people, Marvin, don't want to do no work. What they want is they want you to come and get them. And God is like, no, you got what it takes. You got what it takes. If you really want deliverance, if you really want healing, you got what it takes. You have to put forth the work. You have to put forth the effort. If you want something from God, God's saying, I want something from you. This thing is supposed to flow off a divine exchange. I asked God, as I have told you once before, God, I don't know for the life of me, why do you keep blessing that person in the manner in which you do? The person don't even come to church. The person don't even give. Every time the person gets sick, they call in the preacher, and I can't tell them no, so I got to go and pray and ask God to heal them. And I really want to ask them, okay, you keep calling me to ask me to pray for you. My relationship with God is no different than yours, but everybody think that the preacher is so close to God, but really he ain't. You close to him too. But anyway, they be asking if you would pray for him, and I really want to say, he healed you the last time, and what did you do? You didn't do anything. So you want God to keep healing you so you can keep going and drink your Cavassier, and I don't even know if that's right, or your NJ, or your Fleshman's Gin, or your Ciroc, or whatever. You want smoke your weed. You want God to heal you and allow you to do all of that without you not doing anything for him. But anyway, Jesus walks by and see him, and of all the people that are there, he sees the man that's been sick for 38 years. And he goes to him as if to say, I acknowledge you. Do you want to be well? Everybody don't want to be well, y'all. We hear this all the time, especially when our loved ones are on their sick bed. Pray that mama get healed. Well, mama can't respond. What if mama is saying something different? And what if the request that we are asking God is saying that's not your request? What we should be asking God is, God, let your will be done. But that's hard when we are attached so much to mama. The man was attached to his mat, but he wasn't attached to his master. Let me say that again. The man had been in a condition so long, Marvin, that he had grown attached to his mat. He couldn't live without it. It brought a sense of comfort and peace to him. He was attached to that, but he wasn't attached to his master. The man believed that the method of being healed was in the water, when the method to being healed is really in the message. I just said something. Don't get caught up on methods on how God will heal you and get you out. Get caught up on the message. And the message this morning that God told me to tell you is you got what it takes. I don't know what that means to you. You got what it takes. So here it is. God gave me 7 things, y'all. He says, but this is what it's going to take. This is what it's going to take. This is what it's going to take. Because again, he's not going to give you a message without giving you instructions. Jesus stepped to the man with a message. The message was, do you want to get well? That was his message to him. Man never responded. He said, I ain't got nobody to help me pay these bills. I ain't got nobody to help me with these children. I ain't got nobody to help me. Do you want to be well? And then he turns around and gives the man instructions. Take your mat, pick it up, and walk. In other words, to make it practical, he's saying, Craig, Marvin, you got what it takes. If you want to be well, if you want to be healed, I'm going to give you a message. The message is, you got what it takes. Now pick up your mat and walk. First thing he says, it's going to take courageous compliance. Is that my first point? Consenting courageous compliance. He's saying, what you are asking me to do or what I'm getting ready to tell you to do, he says it's going to take courageous compliance. You're going to have to comply, and you're going to have to be courageous with it. He told the man something that the man never heard before. Nobody ever told the man, pick up your mat and walk. What God is saying is, in this season, I'm going to tell you something that you haven't heard before, but you're going to have courageous compliance to do it. And this is what I love. This is going to be probably the best part of this sermon. Best part of the sermon. He thought that it was about troubling of the water when it was really about the timing of God's word. When God gives you a word, listen at me, y'all. When God gives you a word, the miracle manifests itself as you follow God's instructions. God gave him a word. The man obeyed God's word, and instantly he was healed. When you start doing what God tells you to do, instantly it happens. Okay? Bishop taught me this: application, illustration, explanation. Special needs prom, gala we got going on. We planning on how we want to inspire, these teachers and encourage them and motivate them. So in our planning, we like, okay, well, when you do a gala, first of all, I've never did a gala. Don't know what a gala is. And the person says, look, if we do a gala, hey, we can raise some money. We can raise some money. That way you ain't got to keep asking the public and all of that stuff. There are people out here who will give to the gala. And they say, you know what, you'll raise about $70,000. Angie, I said $70,000. That means I ain't got to ask nobody for nothing else. God, I don't really like asking. I said, yeah, let's go with it. So being that I don't know anything about galas, you put my trust into the hands of the people who do it for a living. They're the experts. They know what they're talking about. Long story short, we like 7 days out from the gala. Looked at the ticket sale. Oh, before we get to the ticket sale, you gotta have names that will, allow people, because people don't want to pay their money. They want to know what they're getting. So we thinking we get Tony Terry, get Tony Terry here, So we looked at it. Tony Terry want $20,000. I said, $20,000? I said, Tony Terry not even in style now. $20,000. You know, then they got these riders wherein, you know, they want you to pay a certain amount down and all that kind of stuff there, right? And so I said, man, it's $20,000. It's supposed to be a fundraiser gala. If we paying $20,000, we don't even have the money yet. And in the event that we sign a contract, who gonna pay that bill? I said, it ain't gonna be none of y'all. It's gonna fall on me. So we narrowed it down, you know. So we said we'll go with, you know, somebody, Flavor Flav, somebody like that, you know, just kind of, you know, to bring it in. I'm going somewhere with this. And so you know, we got it down, and the ticket sales got down to 6 ticket sales, and I'm like, 6 ticket sales. So a brother started feeling, you know, real bad, and I started getting in my flesh, you know. The man, see, I got trust issues and all of that, you know, all of that stuff. And then God reminded me. He says, son, he says, anything that I ask you to do, if you just do what I tell you to do, he says, instantly, the moment you start, I'm going to give you a message. He says, you got what it takes, Karl. And I said, God, I don't. But I'm going to take you at your word. The moment that I start acting on what he told me to do, the manifestation of the miracle started to happen. My wife walked to the mailbox Saturday, and it was a check, 2 checks in the mailbox with a lot of zeros. My point is, I'm using myself, y'all. My point is, when God tell you to do something, y'all, and it doesn't make sense, it didn't make sense to the man to tell me to pick my mat up and walk. So when God tell you to do something that you think you are not capable of, do it anyway. And when you do it, the manifestation of the miracle will unfold on its own. Here's another case in point. The lepers. Jesus healed the lepers, the 10 lepers. Told them to go and show themselves to the priest. That's all that he said. Well, one of them went, and as he went, he was healed. The manifestation of his miracle happened as he went. As you are doing what God tells you to do and you are using courageous compliance, you push God up against the wall wherein he has to do something. And most of us are not willing to see or put God in that position where we could see him. He's not going to do anything to embarrass you. And more so than that, he ain't going to do nothing to embarrass himself. So number one, you got to have courageous compliance. Here's number 2, y'all. You got what it takes. He says it's in you. And look, the word is consenting, which means you got to give permission to yourself. Now, I know this is the work part, and God is like, there's going to be work here. They might just want somebody to come and get them. But they got what it takes. Number 2, correcting crippling conditions. Something caused the man to be crippled, Spud. The text didn't say what caused him to be crippled. But whatever it was, the brother was crippled for 38 years. I'm not a mathematician, but I wanted to count the days, how many days it was that brother laid in that position. And I got to thinking, man, I wonder how many people in Mount Suffolk that have been living in crippling conditions. And it said that the man was hanging around sick people, lame people, and paralyzed people. Could it be that many of us, most of us, some of us, are in crippling conditions because of the environment or the people that we're hanging around? Because the text says he was hanging around the pool, and it was crowds of sick, lame, and paralyzed people, blind people. I wonder if when we start doing the work, if we go home and we take a sheet of paper and we start writing down in columns people that we hang around, and you write down blind, and you write down lame, and you write down paralyzed, and you start assessing the people that you hang around, and you says, you know what, she don't never have no sight. She don't never know what she want to do. She don't know where she going. I even rode with her, and we got lost 5 times. That should be a sign that, yep, she blind. And her name or his name goes in the blind column. And then you start writing down lame. Who are the guys, the girls that I'm hanging around that are lame? Do you know why a lot of people don't come to church? Because our churches, the body of Christ, has become lame. I look at East Washington Street, which I call B Scene Boulevard, all right? And on B Scene Boulevard, it's got all my homies on that block. You know, I got Stephanie, I got Tone Loke, you know, I got, man, it's so many names. I'm gonna protect the innocent, y'all. I ain't gonna call no names, you know. But I got all my homies on that block. And I see them parked right in front of Tammy's Kitchen. They gather out. I seen them sitting on the stoop of the church. I'm like, man, that's ironic. That's funny. Sunday morning, you got at least 150 to 200 people flooding into the church. But then you got a group that's at the gas station, that's lame, blind, and paralyzed, that's looking, but won't go in there. Could it be that they standing there looking at those who go in and then those who come out? And then interact with them through the week when they see them at the gas station. You got $1 I can borrow? $1 I can borrow. You need to get you a job. They're like, you know what? If you go to that church, I don't even want to go in there because you nasty. You mean. Ain't nothing given about you. Could it be that our churches have grown lame to the point where people don't even want to go in there? Because if they're looking at you and you are going to church and there's no change about your life, what makes me think I want to give up my time to go to a place where you're going and your life not changing? That's like going to the barbershop with this weird afro, and you sitting in the barber chair, and the man just going through the motions, and you come out worse than you did when you went in there. And you tell me, man, you ought to go to Karl to get your hair cut. Man, if Karl is your barber, and the way you look, man, I don't want no dealings with him. What if God is saying, you got what it takes, but you need to go home and write down the blind folk, the lame folk. This gonna be good, Angie. And the paralyzed folk. The man was paralyzed for 38 years. You know why? He was in an environment and connected to paralyzed people. A paralyzed person is a person who can't move. They stay in one spot. They want to move, but they can't. If you connect yourself to somebody who paralyzed, you ain't going nowhere. This is how you can tell them. You can go away 20 years from now and come back, and they still in the same spot, doing the same thing, talking about the same thing. Man, you remember when? Man, you remember when? They paralyzed. And when you connect yourself to somebody who paralyzed, you demobilize yourself with where God want to take you. So God steps to the man and says, I see what's going on. I heard your prayer. I've been watching you. I know what it is. And I know what it would take. But I don't really know if this is what you want to do. Do you want to be well? If you do, you're going to have to do some work. Pick your mat up and walk. He ain't even tell him where to walk to. What he's saying is, he's saying, you're going to have to pick your mat up. You're going to have to pick that thing you were connected to. Go home and do the research, find out who is who, and then make some decisions. This is what he's saying. Pick your mat up and walk. What he was really telling him is, if you really want to be well, there are some places and people you got to leave. The man was laying down. Jesus talked to him on the ground. tells him, if you want to be well, you got to pick your mat up. The man, I ain't never heard that before. I can't do that. It's impossible. Jesus ain't getting no dialogue with him. In other words, he was saying, you got what it takes. I ain't saying nothing else. So the man started rolling up his mat and doing what God told him to do, and instantly he began heal. He told him walk, which means you got to be willing to walk away from some people and some places if you're going to get what God has for you. And here's what I love about the man. The man started walking, and he started walking to church. Because the text says that Jesus disappeared. The man looked around. And here's the thing. When you start walking, Lee, and start leaving people, some people are going to get offended. Who told you to do that? Oh, Negro think he all that now. You know, okay. So you gonna listen to Pastor Karl, huh? Oh, okay. So who told you to do that? You can't do that on the Sabbath. You can't do that. They get offended. They become your enemy, man. Because you're leaving them. At churches, been to the church your whole life, and then all of a sudden you come here and stumble upon this, and God tells you you got what it takes to leave the church. God, I can't leave the church. I've been there for 38 years. I've been faithful. My mama grew up there. God, like, I ain't asking you all of that. If you look at the church you connected to, you'll find out that some of them are blind, some of them are lame, and some of them are paralyzed. What are they doing? So you rather attach yourself to something that's not going anywhere or doing anything. He says it doesn't make sense to me. But I get it. I don't force my will on nobody. He says, so you got to be willing to walk away for some people. This is what I got about it. This is what I got. This is what I got out of it. You know, I started scratching my head when God started showing me that stuff. I said, God, you mean to tell me I got to be willing to walk away from some people? I looked around at my circle. I'm like, man, I don't have nobody in my circle. Thought I was cool. I thought I was cool. I was like, God, I ain't got nobody in my circle. He says, that's a problem. Because where I'm calling you to and where I'm trying to take you, you need some people in your circle. You can't do it by yourself. So the man ended up going to church just like us. God suckered us in here today, y'all. He don't tell us when we getting dressed at night and we thinking about whatever. You know, we ain't thinking about what God doing. He says, I'm sucker punching you. You don't even know it. He says, because those who hear the word are going to be held accountable for what you heard. Ain't going to be no excuse. This is what he going to do, Craig. This is what he going to do, Marvin. This is what he going to do, Marvin. On the day we go up to heaven, after they done sung bye and all that down there, you know what I mean? And we done sat and we looking, you know, walk up to heaven with our robe. You know, there's going to be somebody. We call him St. Peter. He going to be here to check the scroll, you know what I mean, to see if your name is on the roll, you know what I mean? If you in the Lamb's Book of Life, you know. And then once you pass that gate, you're going to come up with this big screen right here. And then God going to have a conversation with you. And him are going to be talking. And he going to flash all your whole life up there. And this is what he going to do. He going to do like we do on YouTube. We going to go all the way right here, and he gonna stop it right here, 2026 Sunday, the first Sunday in November. I told you that you had what it takes. He gonna put it up on the Jumbotron so you can see. He said the man sit right here and told you at 5.7 that every word is gonna be held accountable. You're gonna be held accountable for everything that I've told you and everything that you do. He said there ain't gonna be no excuse, because I told you had what it takes. You had what it takes to carry out my will. I gave you everything. I took you through all those storms. I brought you through those healing, those deliverance. I kept you. I did all of this stuff for you to prepare you for what you are going through right now. He says, you got what it takes. Who told you to quit? Here's my next one, y'all. So you got to correct crippling conditions. Oh, all right. I'll stop it on this one right here. This is going to be good. This is going to be good. Number 3. Boy, that's a big word right there, y'all. I use that word over there in Jericho. Man, they're going to swear to God I'm cussing. They're like, oh, this joker done went and got him a little education, and now he coming back using words like confiscating. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, he confiscating comfortable connections. What does that mean? Confiscating. When you confiscate something, you take possession of it. God says you got to take possession. You got to take possession of this thing. Don't let this thing possess you. You got what it takes. You take possession of it. The mat had the man. You know how when you lay in a bed for so long that the bed start forming to your body structure? You know what I mean? And it makes it hard for you to get up because when you roll over, you got that with the spring done kind of wedged in, and most of us got that foam now on our beds where it shapes to the contour of your body. Wedged in. God said, you trying to get to where I want you to go, if you really want to be well, he said, you're going to have to confiscate comfortable connections. Well, God, I got to let this go. This is warm. Do you know how much this costs? You mean to tell me I got to give this up in order to get well, to go and do what you called me to do? Yep. He says, you can't see what I'm doing? November the 5th, he says, in the earth realm, there's a change of leadership that's going on. And he says, on November, there's a change that's going to take place in land. But also, there's a change that's going to take place in eternity. It's based off of confiscating comfortable connections. I love the fact, and I'm out of time, I love the fact that God have not released us from the school yet. I think it's because he know that we ain't ready to graduate to the next thing. Because some of us, just like my students in school, they in the class. They want the grade. They want the 3.0. They want the 6 figures, but they don't want to do the work. And God is saying, everybody want to go to the next level, Ellen. But it's the simple stuff. This is my mantra in school. Easy work, guys. I put up on that board, look, we're going to do the first definition, 1 through 55. 1 through 55. I said, man, all we doing is copying verbatim a word out the dictionary on a sheet of paper. I said, man, look, I understand it. I know that there's a method to the madness. I know it seems like a lot of work, but I'm telling you, man, it does something to the mind subconsciously that when you write the word and write the definition, it don't seem like nothing is happening and nothing is going in. You're not going to understand it, not until Friday when I give them definitions and put it in front of them, and then they're able to plug it in and all of that. I tried to tell you there's a method to the madness. So my main word is easy work. God told me to tell you, easy work, y'all. I'm telling you what the holdup is. You see the room getting full. So apparently some of us are taking it in and applying what we're learning. I got 4 more, but I ain't got time, y'all. Next week, come back for more. I was told, this is where I learned, Miss Smith. I learned this from watching TV, right before the show go off. It's like, oh, man, come on, man. But they do that with intentionality. So that next week, man, that was good that you'll tune in. I got you, God. Because he going to use his word, y'all, to draw. And if the word is good, because they say a good steak makes his own gravy. If the word is good, you ain't got to ask him to come. Show me in that text wherein Jesus asked a man to go to church. If we live a life before people, you won't have to ask them to come. They'll come on their own. Angie don't ask nobody to come to her shop. Let me do her hair, do your hair. They sit back and they watch her work. And based off of what she do to somebody who's sitting in her chair, and she releases them, and they go out into the world and got on that sparkling jewelry and those nice dress and those shoes, and that hairstyle is banging. She ain't got to ask nobody. They coming, girl, what did you do to her? That's what Christ want to do to us. What if he got capes around us now that we don't even know? And we sitting in his beauty salon, in his barbershop, and he ain't grooming our hair, he grooming our minds to make us think that, man, I got what it takes. I got what it takes to get through this. I got what it takes to endure this. I got what it takes to change my life. There is something that God has placed in me that will not let me lose. And even though losing and loss is all around me, I'm still standing. I'm still here with all that I've been through. Been shot, been stabbed, been locked up, been homeless. I'm still here. Apparently, there is something in me that I got what it takes. If I lose, if the school system decide to say you can't be here no more, we roll up my stuff and we say we got what it take to make it. Oh, we gonna make it. Oh, we might not know where we going, but the man in the story didn't know where he was going. But we'll know where we end up. We're gonna end up in the temple. And if there is not a temple, I learned this yesterday, we'll make one outside. Yesterday I had the privilege of being at IC Norcom High School homecoming, which is one of the biggest city things that they have, about 8,000 people to show up. And God told me, I want you to take the barber chairs. Because what you doing with them young men, they brought them on the stage. What you doing with them young men, the 8,000 people need to know, and they can't see it in the room. Because the policies and procedures and protocols to allow people to come in has been changed. It has been disrupted. And God said, this is what I want you to do. I want you to take every barber chair that you got upstairs and I want you to roll it downstairs on the elevator. That means if you got to put one chair on the elevator at a time. And it started out with me doing it by myself. And I'm rolling this, pulling muscles in my body. But I have made my mind up. I got what it takes. And I got 2 chairs downstairs. I'm pulling them through the crowd of probably about 2,000 people. And I know they're saying, what's going on? And then I load them up on the inside of the stadium. And I position them right beside the concession stand where people want to eat. And then all my guys start coming. I said, guys, look, that's what we're doing. I said, the football team is in one locker room and another one's in another room, and they talking about their game plan. I said, the referees are talking about their game plan. I said, I need y'all to huddle up. I said, I want y'all to put all your barber smocks on. I want you to wear black shoes and black shirts and black pants. I said, we get ready to show them we got what it takes. Any type of thing you put on the narrative of my life, he said, no, you got what it takes. Karl, he said, I got one guy in my class. I got one guy in my class. He loved this. He loved this. He loved this. I somehow got him in a dichotomy. I got clippers in one hand that's showing him that he got the ability to change somebody's hairstyle while he has some steel in the other hand. Now, he ain't made no decisions as of yet, but he being groomed. And God told me, take the chairs, put them outside, tell the boys, I want you to be on your best behavior. The day before we went out there, I said, guys, I put up on the screen in the room, I said, I'm going to teach you how to introduce yourself. I said, because we're going before the world now, and I want everybody to know who you are. And so we watched the video, and then I made each one of them to write down their introduction, and then come up one by one and say, hi, my name is Karl Wilkins. I'm the barber instructor here at IC Norcom High School. I am so excited to be here, and thank you for the opportunity of giving me the provide a service for you. I stepped out of the way. The next one came up and said, hi, my name is Jarrell Sims. I'm a junior. This is my first year of being a barber. Then the next one came up. I said, oh, we're ready now for what God want to do. He said, son, take Tell them they got what it takes to succeed. All you need is some people behind you to pour in you. I come to tell you, Mount Suffolk, you got what it takes to not only change your life, you got what it takes to change this city. You got what it takes to change your neighborhood. You got what it takes to change your job environment. God has put something inside of you. You are more than just a man. You are a son and a daughter of the King. And you got what it takes. I've given you everything that you need. I'm not going to give you nothing that you can't handle. He said, you got what it takes. Some of us need to go on YouTube and download instrumental spiritual warfare and get that into your head that we ain't coming to do church. Show me in the text, in the Bible, where Christ came to do church. He says, you are the church. We are the body of Christ. When we come together, we produce power. He didn't give me a lot of book smarts. What he gave me, Spud, he gave me courage. That's why he rose me up in Jericho. And I had to fight just about not only the guys in the neighborhood, I fought black and I fought both. Fighting was in me. And God was telling me, I'm going to need that fight for where you're going. That's why I don't care about standing up here speaking to the powers to be. I am controlled by God. If you ask me who told me to do it, God told me to do it. Why are you mad at me? God told me to do it.